What are dark secrets about the porn industry that people should know? In my state it is legal to have sex with a 16-year-old if you are 23 or younger. The 16-year-old cannot give consent to a 24-year-old. And that was a somewhat recent change. It used to go up to age 26. But the 16-year-old cannot consent to nude pictures, even if they directly take them and send them with no other pressure from anyone. And the 16-year-old is violating the law and can face charges for sending a consensual nude picture even if it was to another 16-year-old. But parents are usually lenient when the other person is the same age or within a year, so it never goes past a slap on the wrist. Also coincidentally, we used to be one of the top, if not the top, porn-watching state in the U.S. Utah. All of this information would be up to date as of about a year or two ago, when I had to go through the court process as a 17-year-old. And I was required to learn these laws in order to get my charges dropped. Edit: I forgot to mention at 17 you can now hook up with up to a 24-year-old. And at 18 you can send and receive pictures from other 18-year-olds and hook up with anybody between 16 and at whatever age a person would be considered too old to give consent. But obviously that varies based on health conditions and mental capacity. Edit 2: I should also mention, it is taken on a case-by-case basis as well. In a situation like mine where I was 17 and she was 17 almost 18, I am younger than her, I get let off fairly easy and nothing will be on my permanent record. Because we were both minors, the severity of the charges are dramatically decreased. However, there have been a lot of cases where say a 19-year-old will sleep with a 17-year-old and that 19-year-old will still catch a statutory charge even though he is within the age range. In cases like that, there's probably a lot of other complicated underlying issues that are unseen to the people not directly involved in the relationship of those two people. Because for most people it's hearsay and don't understand that you also need to consider signs of manipulation or abuse which can be proven by phone records or eyewitnesses, and those factors weigh heavily on what the judge is going to decide. So it is likely your perfect 19-year-old brother who was just messing around with a minor and got some bullshit charges was really being a manipulative piece of shit, but nobody wants to admit to that to their family. Edit 3, misinformation, since been corrected. They recruit young women and teens from troubled homes or are rebelling against their parents. They lure them in with money and the ability to live free and do what they want. All they have to do is some amateur porn. Once away from friends and family, they are put in a house with other young women in the industry and given a room. They bond and go to shoots or whatever. They get paid a lot and they love it. Some get hooked on drugs, almost all have bad experiences. The person who owns the house they live in takes a cut of everything. It's all a bunch of teen girls, so it's not a very clean place. The turnover rate is astounding as well. It's a miracle essentially if you last longer than 4 months without a mental breakdown or going home and never returning. Edit: not all girls/guys/people who go into porn, amateur or otherwise, come from bad homes. Though 40% of porn actresses report being molested as children. It's not indicative of the industry or the people employed within. Edit 2: I apologize for this edit, but as it seems to have slowed down I'll make it now. Thank you for the gold, kind stranger, never had it before and that's pretty cool. Also didn't expect this to blow up. Now my top comment is about how the porn industry is predatory. At least it's a gold way to raise awareness. Agreed. I don't think people understand the pipeline between foster care, especially in porn and sex work. These young girls will age out, have no safety net whatsoever and end up on the streets. Most have severe mental health issues due to trauma which are being managed through drug use. Some of these issues, and the lack of support, preclude their ability to hold a conventional, even minimum wage, job. Additionally, most have suffered from sexual abuse and are only confident in their appeal to men. They are easily groomed and trafficked. It's disgusting. I worked in a level 6 locked treatment center for 11 to 17-year-olds. One girl came in off the street after escaping a trafficking/pornography ring. She was 13 but acted well beyond 18. Grown up so fast. She was destructive as hell, and due to the aggression we had to send her to a JDC. 5 months later she shows back up at the treatment center, beaten, bloody and unrecognizable, at 3 a.m. in a metro city. She said the money they promised was too good to pass up as she was broke and on her own. It was heart-wrenching to watch her go right back to the situation that had brought her to treatment in the first place. I'm so sad for all those girls with their innocence and childhoods lost forever. There was some company about 6 or 7 months ago that got sued into oblivion because they would post false model adverts and then high pressure, complete with booze, make them sign performance contracts. Many of the girls were 18 or 19 and didn't know what the contracts said until they arrived to the shoot. I'm gonna mess up the story a bit, because this was from years ago. There was a company that advertised to men. Basically a get your foot in the door to do straight porn. The whole operation seemed legit, proper paperwork, etc. They would do a test shoot where the guy had to get it up, jerk off, they filmed them from all sorts of angles, the works, right? Filming would finish up, they told the guy they would shop around the video on his behalf and they would let him know if any studios picked him up. They then sold the rights/posted the video to gay porn sites with humiliating titles like "Look at Brian's virgin little mangina" as they filmed his asshole for 3 minutes straight while he jerked off. If I recall, they got sued into oblivion for purposeful misrepresentation of their intentions with the filming process. Plus I do not think the guys got paid. If someone recalls the exact scenario, please correct whatever I have missed. This is interesting. I was solicited for this back when MySpace was a thing. I was 17 at the time, and this attractive lady asked me to come to Minnesota when I turned 18 for a solo shoot that paid $1K $2K if it went well. You'd be perfect because you look so young. I was a 103 pounds wrestler, so I was extra small. There was no talk about actual porn, though I'd get to meet some of the girls. I turned it down because I was certain my parents wouldn't approve of a trip to Minnesota even if I lied about the reason, and I was too much of a goody two-shoes to lie about where I was going. I never realized the implications of what could have happened until a year or two ago. Shit's terrifying. I turned it down because I was certain my parents wouldn't approve of a trip to Minnesota even if I lied about the reason, and I was too much of a goody two-shoes to lie about where I was going. That really says a lot about the respect you have for your parents. You don't mention they would beat my ass or something, this was not a fear thing, you just said they would not approve and that was that, life moves on. Good on ya. In the last few months, there have been several shocking cases of sex trafficking and child rape films that were hosted on Pornhub. A 15-year-old girl who had been missing for a year was finally found after her mother was tipped off that her daughter was being featured in videos on the site. 58 such videos of her rape and sexual abuse were discovered on Pornhub. Her trafficker, who was seen in the videos raping the child, was identified using surveillance footage of him at a 7-Eleven where he was spotted with his victim. He is now facing a felony charge. Also in recent news was the case of 22 women who were deceived and coerced by Michael Pratt, owner of Girls Do Porn, into performing sex acts on film that were subsequently uploaded to Pornhub. These women sued Girls Do Porn and won a $12.7 million lawsuit against the company. According to a federal indictment, Pratt and his co-conspirators produced filmed child rape and sexual abuse content and trafficked a minor. Pratt reportedly fled the United States for New Zealand and is currently wanted on a federal warrant. But there are other individuals who should also be wanted by law enforcement. CEO Faraz Antoon and COO David Tassio of MindGeek, the company that owns Pornhub. This is just one story. Victims of Pornhub/MindGeek in the media. Rose Kalemba, 14 years old, raped and videos uploaded to Pornhub for months. 15 years old rape and sex trafficking victim found in 58 Pornhub videos. Pornhub verified 15 years old sex trafficking and rape victim. 14-year-old victim from Palo Alto, California raped and videos uploaded to Pornhub. Internet Watch Foundation confirmed 118 cases of child rape on Pornhub. The Sunday Times investigation found dozens of illegal abuse videos in minutes. PayPal cuts off service to Pornhub amid evidence of child rape and sexual abuse on site. 22 sex trafficking victims on Pornhub partner channel Girls Do Porn. Girls Do Porn sex trafficking ring a partner channel on Pornhub with 784,000 subscribers. U.S. federal indictment for sex trafficking and child pornography. Nicole Adimondo of NY sentenced to life in prison after killing attacker who sexually abused her and uploaded videos of her sexual assaults to Pornhub. 14 rape victims of Taiwan's Justin Lee had their sexual assaults and rape videos on Pornhub. Edit, https://youtube.b/7f. This, https://www.rollingstone.com/culture/culture news/girls do porn lawsuit verdict 9333276/. The article does a good job of summarizing the way these men sex trafficked women and manipulated them. Go down the rabbit hole, and there are women who have shared their personal experiences with this company. I won't paste names here, these are truly horror stories. I was never particularly anti-porn, but I'm thinking this is more the norm how these content providers work, and visiting those sites now is a real moral mindfuck. One of the lawyers who represented the defendants said amateur porn doesn't make sense economically, and I believe him. You can't pay someone just a few $1,000s for their anonymity unless they are broke, naive, manipulated, trapped, cheated, lied to, etc. This really affected me. A lot of the time child pornography slips through the cracks. More often than not those girls that look 14 to 16 are actually within that age range, but nobody questions it because age checks don't happen often. So next time you're spanking your bacon to some petite flat-chested teen barely legal shit, think twice before you nut, that may be a child. The financial structures of the business are remarkable. The amount of money flowing through the industry is huge beyond comprehension, but in the end it ends up in just a few pockets. Companies behind large tube sites are earning the bulk of the money, taking revenue from advertisements, memberships, and producing studios who pay tube sites so said tube sites feature their films on the homepage. In the meanwhile those producers suffer heavily from the terabytes of pirated content which is uploaded daily. Tube sites often refuse to take responsibility for illegal content, said pirated content, but also child porn, human trafficking, rape etc., news stating that they are only a platform and that they cannot be held accountable for what individual users upload. Lately there was quite some uproar about the girls do porn videos. A number of girls appearing in those videos stated that they were drugged and then forced to do things that they would have never agreed on. While this case was in court, some tube sites refused to take those videos offline while users still uploaded those. I remember watching some documentary or something of the sort about porn fans from the UK going off to America to meet their favorite stars or something. A segment of the show was about porn stars meeting fans and shagging them, and the girls were beginning to look really ragged by the third guy or a group or of guys I can't remember. Anyhow, after the fans are done with, the director/producer/production staff who've been sitting there all day filming all of it drop their pants and exercise their owner's rights? And start plowing into the girls, who by this time were well and truly spent. I don't know how much of this is true, or if it's sensationalized. But I remember thinking to myself how monstrous the act/idea of it is. There really isn't that much separating what the crew were shown doing, from rape if you ask me. Edit, some grammar typos, and thanks to you/house_about_fuck for linking the video below. The scene I mentioned is around here. Be warned though it is explicit, and most certainly NSFW. Edit 2, Googled Porno Dan to see if he was still around and lo and behold. He is, and highly acclaimed too. If it isn't dark, that a real-life slave driver is lauded, I don't know what is. I don't think people realize just how many videos contain people being trafficked. Edit, because this has gained much more attention than I anticipated, I'll elaborate some. But I encourage you to research this more. Today, there is an estimated 30 million people that are being trafficked. This is modern-day slavery. Children, women, and even men are bought and sold as property for the purposes of being a sex slave, forced labor, or even organ harvesting. It is so repulsive and yet so hidden and unknown. The sad thing is, many children get caught up in this after natural disasters or other tragic situations. For example, with the recent explosion in Lebanon, criminals may set up orphanages that are not registered with the state and just like that a child can be taken. I learned much of this from a podcast episode with Timothy Owens as a guest on the Candace Owens Show. Even if you aren't conservative, this is a good, objective and informative discussion to listen to. Thank you if you read this entire thing. I just felt I needed to use this opportunity to give a voice to the unheard.